Hello and welcome back to the Leinster Listen. I'm your host Michael Annan and this is episode 57, the preview of Leinster versus Vodacom Bulls in the URC Grand Final. The topics we'll discuss today are the details of Iron Game, the team lineups, score and man and match prediction, and a discussion point on club rugby in mid-June. Alright folks, kicking off today's episode with the details of our game, because normally I go through who's going to be playing in the next week, but obviously there is only one big game at hand, and that is the URC Grand Final. So the details of our game there is kickoff is at 7:30pm this Friday, 19th of June 2026. The venue there is Croke Park in Dublin, and the referee is Andrea Piardi. He's the Italian referee there. The weather is mostly cloudy, rain clearing east through to the afternoon and the evening. Highs of around 17 degrees, and it's been very muggy lately. Very close weather. Moderate to southwesterly winds easing, and I'm obviously going for a weather meteorologist job here in RTE or something. It should be dry enough though, in fairness, and I'd say by the time it comes around to that, the lights will be turned on in Croke Park, but it is looking at a very muggy and unsettled Dublin evening. The venue there, obviously, it is Croke Park. It's the first Friday night URC Grand Final. Metallica are at the Aviva that weekend, so that's ruled that out. Although it would have been kind of cool to play around the set they've been putting up for themselves there. And look, it is the only suitable Dublin venue available. We're obviously not going to go out to Tala or the RDS right before next season. And this is obviously Leinster's second URC decider in the GAA HQ, but I think at this point it could be called the United Rugby Championship Grand Final HQ as well. We obviously won there last year. The final there was 32-7, also to the Bulls. Referee there, Andrea Piardi, it's his fourth consecutive URC Grand Final. He's well versed in this. I actually think he did a fairly decent job last year. Wasn't really too many controversial calls there as well. As I said, 32-7 win over Bulls there at Croke Park last time out. We had the first half tries for Conan, Barrett and Van der Fleer, and it was actually the, fun fact, 63rd URC fixture at the time. Adam Jones there and Ben Breakspear are the ARs. TMO there is Matteo Liprini. Again, none of them really have two huge crazy calls, so not too bad there. The one thing I will say is I thought Davidson and Brace would have been involved in this, but they obviously took the semis, so they've just been ruled out for that. And I guess looking back into the the tenure that Piardi has, he's been in that high profile position already. Yeah, not a bad shout. I actually don't mind. He's a fairly decent ref. Where you can watch it, well, if you're in Ireland, you can watch it on Premier Sports, or you can actually, again, listen to it on RT Radio 1's Inside Sport. It's live commentary there. And it's actually fairly decent. If you can't watch it on the TV, you might as well throw the radio on. South Africa, I think it's called Super Sport. And then anywhere else, I suppose you're going to watch it on either URC TV, or if you're lucky enough, head on down to the Croke Park. The tickets are still available, very much so. And they've actually reduced the price an awful lot. And those upper tiers have been released at about €25. I think Ticketmaster probably end up about €29 after their crazy interest rates. But yeah, look, might be an energetic game to go to, considering it's the final. So if you're undecided of what to do on a Friday evening, why not buy a ticket now and help fill that stadium? Okay, straight away, the moment you've all been waiting for, the lineups. So we'll start off, obviously, with the Leinster lineup and going into the backs here. We have number 15, Hugo Keenan. Number 14, Tommy O'Brien. Number 13, Raiko Owane. Number 12, Jamie Osborne. Number 11, James Lowe. Number 10, Sam Prendergast. And number 9, Jamison Gibson Park. Into the forwards there, we have number 1, Jerry Caher. Number 2, Ronan Kelleher. Number 3, Tadhg Furlong. Number 4, Big Joe McCarthy. Number 5, James Ryan. Number 6, Max Deegan. Number 7, Josh Van der Fleer. And number 8, our skipper, Caelan Doris. Into the bench there, we have number 16, Dan Sheehan. Number 17, Alex Usnov. Number 18, Thomas Clarkson. Number 19, Dermot Mangan. Number 20, Jack Conan. Number 21, Luke McGrath. Number 22, Harry Byrne. And last but certainly not least, number 23, Gary Ringrose. Moving over there to the Vodacom Bulls lineup, and we have in the backs number 15, and moving to 15, mind you, Willie LaRue. Number 14, Curtly Ahrens. Number 13, Canan Moody. 12, Harold Vorster. 11, Stravino Jacobs. 10, Andre Pollard. Number 9, Ambrose Papier. Into the forwards area, number 1, Jared Steenkamp. Number 2, Johan Grobler. Number 3, Francois Klupper. 4, Ruan Vermaak. 5, Ruan Nortje. Number 6, Marcel Coetzee, and he is actually their captain as well. Number 7, Elry Lou. Number 8, Cameron Hankum. Into their bench, we have number 16, Marco van Staden. Number 17, Jan-Hendrik Wessels. Number 18, Wilco Lou. Number 19, Cobus Weiss. Number 20, Andre Rudolph. Number 21, Zach Berger. Number 22, Stedman Gans. And number 23, Nizam Carr. Bench splits there are Leinster opting for a 5-3 split and the Vodacom Bulls opting for a 6-2 split, interestingly. Who you can watch? Well, for Leinster, I think we have to name him. Tadhg Furlong, back from injury, was a big doubt. No one really knew what was going to happen there, if he was going to be involved in this grand final. And you know what? I'm glad he is. We definitely need the support up there in front. It's his first start since April, mind you, though. Obviously, himself being a 3-time Lion at tight head there. He's huge for the scrum. Porter was ruled out there with a calf injury, very disappointingly. And look, his set piece and carrying key is absolute control, tempo, standard. So we need him in that. Delight to see him in it. It'd be a miss if I didn't mention his last game, James Lowe. Look, final Leinster appearance. He starts in the left wing. He's gone from Ireland after this, and a very bittersweet for him. I really hope they get to retain the silverware, so he has something to have a big sign off at Croke Park. It would just be fantastic for him. So I'm going to name him as definitely one to watch. And then lastly, I think Sam Prendergast. Look, he had a very good game against the Lions. He had a decent game there in semi-final. I think he's retained the 10 position. As I said, very statement quarterfinal there for the Lions. A little bit gritty against Stormers, but I think he held his own, and that's the main thing. That's what you want to see. And DHL Stormers really did put it against us. He will, be tested. He's going to be targeted. I think most of the SAFA team here are going to make sure they're going to try and tear him apart. They're going to try and annihilate him, because when he gets the flow state going, he is very, very good. So look, I probably wouldn't have been his best fan throughout the whole season, especially into the Six Nations. Just think he didn't perform, but he's clearly, after coming into his own in the latter stages, probably when it matters most. So fair play to him. Vodacom Bulls there. Look, Andre Pollard, 100% World Cup winning 10. He's hunting his actual first URC title. Imagine he's lost the finals in 2022. 2024 and also 2025. He missed 3 penalties though in a row against Glasgow, so something is amiss with him. Don't know what it was. Maybe it was pressure with Glasgow, coming out very deep down at half time. So look, they won 22-21 in the end, so still has that sharpness on him. I think he will probably perform in Croke Park. Another one to watch there is Cameron Hankum. He's a Springbok number 8. He's the back row there with Coetzee and Lou. He's going to play an absolute fantastic game. He does know it. He played the full semi-final as well. Integral, obviously, to that win as well there. So I think Doris and Deegan are going to have to make sure to shut him down every chance they get, because he's going to tear the place up if you let him have any space at all. And then last but not least, you have to mention Willie LaRue. Like, he's just fantastic. He came off the bench there to win it in the Loftus in October, 39-31. So look, the weirdest thing here is that he's starting at 15, which I just did not predict. There's obviously some sort of game plan going there. But one thing I have to note here is that it's his 4th URC final in 5 years. So look, it's a strange one for him. We look back there to all the media talking about how Leinster got into 5 European Champions Cups and lost them in a row. Practically, this is the South African team. There is so many international players on this team. I wonder, will they be saying the same thing if they lose? I don't know. I don't know. But look, his game management there under the lights is going to be huge. He's a fantastic player. He's the game man in the back. He's going to be dictating like a little master puppet there in the background. So lock him down as well. we don't want to have Willie LaRue having a great game. It just will spell disaster for us. Going in some previous games there, the last meeting was in June 2025. It was actually Leinster 32, Bulls 7. And yeah, look, I mean, it's a crazy one. I think, that was... It was a dominant win for the final, obviously, but I think the Bulls just kind of fell us under and we were just in form at that point. I think we can probably do it again. Obviously, we don't have the likes of Barrett this time round. We have to make do with Raiko Wane. We also have 3 exiting players there who probably want to have a memorable moment for their last game. Like, if you don't know who those are, I don't know where you've been, because it's been all over the papers and the news. But obviously, Luke McGrath there, he's on his way out. Raiko Wane, he is obviously not being retained next season. And then obviously James Lowe, which is still cutting deep into me here. It's so sad. But those three players are obviously going to want to have a stellar end to this season, and a very gritty one as well. So, we all suffered the European one. Let's get this silver, retain it. It's going to be fantastic if we do it, and it'll be a great send-off for all of those players who we really should be celebrating, with a huge win. The one thing I will say there as well is this is a head-to-head, again, non-stop that we've had with the Bulls. They have led us now 5-3 in terms of victories. They beat us in 2022, they beat us in 2024 in the semi-finals there as well. But we did get revenge last year, and I do think we're going to get, what would you call it, revenge? No, we're going to get comeuppance for them again. I don't know what the turn of phrase here for is, but I just know for a fact we are going to come out of the traps here and run riot, and that is what I'm gunning for. I suppose going into the prediction here, we have to kind of talk about form, right? So, we beat them 2011 there on June 7th. That obviously stands to us. They had a very tough game against Glasgow Warriors. Now, we also had a tough game against Glasgow Warriors. I think, though, we probably looked a little bit more dominant. I think Glasgow they more lost it than the Bulls won it, in that kind of sense. But, they also came back from 21-3 down, so they have that determination, they have that grit to come back. But as I said, Pollard missing 3 penalties is just a bit crazy there. So I think if Sam Prendergast has us kicking down, I think we're going to hopefully win the game out by a large margin. But, the bookies don't really have us on a huge odds margin there. Outright, they have us 2-5 favourites. With the handicap of -6, mind you, they have a 5-6 on. So, it's going to be a tight game in terms of them. Now, they haven't always gotten it right either. There's plenty of episodes where I've kind of went with their prediction and it just fell flat in my face. But look, I'm going to call it, right? I'm going to say Leinster 31, Vodacom Bulls 20. So I'm going to say 11 points difference there. I think we're just going to... I think it'll come down to the wire. I think at half time it's going to be very close. I'd say it could be even maybe 2 tries apiece. I don't even think it's going to be huge scores. But then the second half, I think it's going to pull away probably in the fourth quarter, which we always tend to do, those last ditch effort, that those final moments where our bench is just so good and we can just click in those final moments, and that we've done it all season. I just think we just retain that, just keep going. We have won them dirty, we have won them not nice. So let's just keep that flow going. Who cares if it's a dirty, ugly win if we win it? I certainly won't care. Man of the match there, I'm going to say it's Tommy O'Brien, but I really, really, really hope it's James Lowe, because what an absolute farewell game that would be if we were to win it first off, but then James Lowe was going to get the man of the match there. That would just be absolute cherry on top of that cake. So here's hoping. Alright folks, discussion point. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Club rugby in mid-June. Obviously the tournament dates have been set in stone well before, they're set in May. We already know next year's fixtures. We know it's going to end up in June again. But I honestly don't think professional club rugby should run into mid-June. The season is too long, right? The calendar is completely broken there. You have the AIL, you have the schools, you have the club games. They're all done for weeks at this point. So if we're talking about, player development, they're all finished weeks at this point. And then when they go professional, then we're like, no, we're actually going to extend that, and we're going to close in that gap of the rest period as much as we can. It's ridiculous. We're playing a grand final on the 19th of June. That's like it. Rugby is a winter sport. So what are we doing? Like, fair enough, these summer series, whatever you can call them, most of the time they're played in the southern hemisphere where it's already winter time there, right? But firstly, it shouldn't be in Croke Park. But I understand scheduling, convenience, whatever. I think they're going for the calendar rather than the venue, right? They could have decided, right, let's not do it on a Friday. Let's hold off until we can have it in the Aviva. And obviously that would be, going against my own first nature there by saying it could be later in June. But, if we're in June already, what's the difference? But look, the one thing I have to say is that is just ridiculous. I wouldn't want to be playing rugby at all into June. The ground is hard. You're going to be risking injuries there. Player welfare has just been thrown out the window at that point. And look, fair enough, Metallica's playing in the Aviva. They will get priority. That you can't say to fans, oh, actually, sorry, Metallica fans, we're going to shift you to a completely different stadium because a rugby match has to be played there. No, obviously that's not the case. But we are a second fiddle to this. And I think when it goes to Croke Park, it really doesn't, it's not a nice light to shine on you if you're not going to fill it. And I don't think we're going to fill it. Like 82,000 seats, that's a big ask. It's a big ask for any game this season. I think Leinster fans have just been kind of put through the ringer. We've been sent through an awful lot of finals. It's very costly. All these kind of things rack up. And then as well as that, it's in the middle of June. It's summer holiday season. Everything in Dublin is so expensive. And on top of that, the ticket prices were absolutely outrageous. Now, I understand they gave 20% off in the first 48 hours. But I had a look at some of the premium. Now, okay, talk about premium. Yeah, all right, Michael, yeah. Fair enough, you're going premium, it's going to be expensive. The cheapest premium was €76. And that was in right behind the goal, right? If you were to get the middle section of premium, it was €140 for a ticket. The best seats there, I think, were even 200 plus. I didn't actually really check them. But then you go, right, okay, fair enough. We're not going to go there. We're going to go mid-level, right? Mid-level was still €60. €60 for like that. The lower tier kind of decent seat. And then, like, if you want to get the cheap ticket, you were talking Hill 16 for €20. It could be absolutely lash and rain. And I was in Hill 16 last year for the URC final, and we were wearing ponchos, and we were drenched to the bone. Now, we didn't really mind too much because we were 3 sheets to win for the majority of it. But like, seriously, €20 is a bit madness for Hill 16. Why did it not just say Hill 16 is going to be tenner? Fill it. Fill Hill 16, folks. Hand out a few free tickets there, out in Baggot Street, out in Grafton Street, whatever. Get Hill 16 looking like an All-Ireland final with the Dubs in it, loud, intimidating. That's what you want. No, it's not even sold yet. They're €20 tickets, and there's still tickets available for Hill 16. I don't even think they've opened Duneen Hill yet. Sorry, the other one, I can't remember the actual name of it. But like the other one, I don't even think they've opened that yet. I said last week, about 8 days ago, that the other side of the pitch, I think it's the Cusick side, that wasn't opened yet, right? And I was thinking, I was just kind of guessing that they were going to sell the Hogan side first. Maybe I'm mixing them two up. But anyway, whatever side was opposite the cameras, all of those were available first, right? Now, a good portion of them were sold, but the corner pieces and the kind of wedges and even like half a section in from the wedges aren't sold yet. So you're going to have these huge sections of empty seats that aren't being sold yet. Behind the goals, on the opposite side of Hill 16, a lot of them are left. Huge numbers left there. The premium seats all along that top section there as well, behind the goals, also not sold yet. They opened up the rafters, the nosebleeds. They've sold a few of them, but they haven't opened up all of it, and there's loads of them left as well. So this is going to be very embarrassing for a showpiece final for the URC. I think it's probably the kick up the arse that they need, because you can't justify a game in mid-June in Dublin, right? And I feel for like all the Bulls fans, the Safa fans, because I don't think they're going to travel to Dublin. Because like, I'd say if you were to look up a hotel for a Friday to Sunday, let's say, because you're not going to go the whole way from South Africa for a night, right? Or even actually coming in Friday, you'd be absolutely bollocks. So you're not going to go Friday, so you're probably going to go Thursday, right? So just an experiment here. While you're listening to this, pull out the phone there and look up Thursday to Sunday in Dublin and just check the Dublin hotel prices. I guarantee it. Like, I'd nearly put my money on it. I'm not betting, man, but I'd nearly put my money on it. That is going to be 1k plus. Easy. And I mean, not even central. I'm talking outskirts Dublin. I'm talking the worst of the worst kind of hotels. Outside, you have to get a Lewis and then a bus to get to Croke Park, kind of level stuff. It is going to be outrageous for any South African fan to travel from South Africa for this match. It's ridiculous. I don't understand. Like, hotels, flight, everything. And then on top of that, you're going to go into Croke Park. You can't drink at the seats, right? Because, fair enough, that's the Croke Park rules, right? So, and then on top of that, you're not going to find a pint in Dublin for less than $6.50. So, what are you coming with? About $3,000 for one final overall. Like, that is ridiculous. Even for myself, I live in Dublin. If I was to go to this match, I'd have to get the cheapest of cheapest tickets. I'll have to rock up at the time to watch it and barely have a sniff of a pint because I'd be broke before I go home. But anyway, look, I just think Saturday afternoons would be better than a Friday night at this point as well. And look, it was shoved into Friday night because it was free. But that is going to be hectic. It's going to be hectic. And it's so expensive as well. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it kind of makes me wonder, can the competition just not wait for a while? Like, if you want to talk about the tournament after tournament, international, and then autumn series, all these, right? Player welfare is non-existent at this point. They're going since September. They're going since September all the way to June. They have a break of, I think it's 2 weeks now, but they're probably going to go to training camp now before the summer series. And then they're going to play all the way up until, what, August again, maybe? Yeah, about that time. Another small break, and then back into the URC again. And obviously European rugby as well. It's crazy. I just think it's great. And then you have, the summer series, summer tests, and then the Lions whenever that happens again as well. So I just, it must be absolutely just so tiring to put your body on the line that much. Like, God forbid you're good enough to make the international team. I'd say some of those players thinking, geez, I hope Andy Farrell doesn't bring me. So I can actually just get an extended period of time with my family first off, or just to relax, sit down, have a cup of tea, and not have to worry about, I'm up playing another international team here for, in the next fortnight, so I better pile on the calories and go into the gym, for 4 hours a day. It's crazy. It's just crazy. And I'm probably just sound like a broken record here, but, what is it about this winter sport that we're so obsessed with extending this calendar so much? And I know, I'm probably a little bit... I'm probably kind of breaking my own thing here because I said the Six Nations at the time, they got rid of one rest week to kind of condense that, and I was giving out about that. But now thinking about it in hindsight, they should actually make all these things condensed. Just bring it back, lads. Just make it into a winter sport. We're okay going into the rain for a final. That's no issue. We're going to enjoy it anyway. Look, I'm probably just rambling at this point, but it is just it's a pain point for me between, having to play in Croke Park, having it on a Friday, having it mid-June, and then the ticket prices on top of that. Just crazy. On top of that, the player welfare it doesn't exist anymore. It's too competitive. I can't see an end goal for this. It just seems like the end goal here is to make as much money as possible out of these high-performant, high-profile rugby players and put them through the ringer. And sure, look, as long as we make, a 150 off of our 20-cent investment, then we're happy. And fuck the players. I feel for them. All right, folks, just before I break off there, the Irish women's summer test fixtures have just been announced, and it's actually the inaugural women's 15 global series. So there's actually 5 tests there for Scott Beeman's side. 20th of September, you have Ireland versus the USA in the Tala Stadium in Dublin. It's going to be crazy. First women's test match at Tala. Tala under the lights is fantastic. If you've been to a soccer match there, you already know it's an electric place to have any match at all. 27th of September then we have Ireland versus Japan. That's in the Dexcon Stadium. Fantastic ground. Can't wait to see that. 3rd of October then we have Ireland versus Japan in the Virgin Media Park. That's in Cork. 24th of October then you have South Africa versus Ireland in, funny enough, the Athlone Stadium in Cape Town. As a Westmeath man, when I seen Athlone Stadium, firstly I was thinking, where the fuck is the Athlone Stadium in Westmeath? But then when I seen Cape Town, I was like, that's clearly a typo. But no, it exists. That place exists. Some Westmeath man went over there probably years ago and was like, I'm going to name that stadium Athlone. Yeah, that'll do. Anyway, the last fixture there is the 31st of October, Halloween, South Africa again versus Ireland in, again, the Athlone Stadium in Cape Town. So two stints of that one. And yeah, it's the first ever women's test series between Ireland and South Africa as well. So that's huge. It's building on a very strong Six Nations campaign as well. So it's going to be fantastic. And obviously the kickoff times on TV have yet to be decided there. But, I can't wait to tune into that. It's going to be electric. It's going to be fantastic for women's sport as well. That's, some huge names there as well. So I can't wait for it. But anyway, that's her, folks. As always, if you haven't followed us on social media, please do. We're on Instagram,
Blue Sky and Reddit. I've actually made a Reddit, a subreddit as well, which has 0 followers currently. So if you're sound, just hop over there and give us an old follow. But look, hope to see you all at the game on Friday. There is plenty of tickets available at probably a reduced rate now. So, and maybe if the URC lads are listening to this, or the Leinster lads, reduce the prices, lads, or start handing them out in Grafton Street, because they're going to have no one at. Just, Jesus Christ, just give them away, please, just so it's not looking embarrassing for us. But anyway, folks, as always, thanks for listening.